Hey, house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 27 updates and spoilers. Boy, do we have a show for you. What is this season? This season's insane. How are y'all doing today? Happy Monday. Respect Yanek. I love that name. Dawn, Zachary Longmore, Maria D. Robbie's in the house, Aja's in the house, Middle Yak. Hey everybody, how are y'all doing today? Let's get into it. I did have time today to put the house guest of the day list. So yay, thank God for that. Our house guest of the day, we have Daniel Sherman and his sister Melanie. And I want to wish Melanie a happy belated birthday. I hope it was wonderful. Kenya G and Cole Davis, thank you all so much for watching with us this season and for years, honestly. It's astounding to think that you guys come back like season after season. We are so honored. So thank you. And if you guys want to be house guests of the day, send us an email to madrosed@gmail.com and we will get you on the list. Just make sure you put house guest of the day in the subject line. All right. So when we left off yesterday, the Morgan and Vince soap opera was in full swing. And unlike most soap operas, which were only like half an hour at a time, this soap opera runs all day and all night. It's insane. But Vince had put Ava, Kelly, and Keanu on the block for eviction this week. His main target, after a lot of back and forth, his main target is Kelly. He feels like she's spreading too much crap around the house. He doesn't think she deserves to win this whole thing. But Morgan has been livid that Vince did not put Lauren up on the block. She's like, you've picked her again. You value her game over mine. She's coming after me. She voted me out. She put me up on the block. So she's not happy. But at the same time, she's also holding out hope that maybe Vince will put Lauren up as their placement nominee this week. Got to see what happens with that veto. So they had the veto competition. Everyone played except for Ashley. This is the last veto where not everyone's playing. Isn't that crazy? We're at that point. But Morgan won the veto. Oh my God, here we go. So now Morgan is wanting to use that veto and she wants to force Vince to choose between Lauren and Ashley for the replacement nominee because those are his only two options. So does he risk losing his true final two by putting Lauren on the block? Or off the Judges Alliance, rest in peace, by if he puts up Ashley, he could potentially be losing jury votes by doing that. Rachel, Will, and Ashley. And 3 votes, you only need 4 to win. So if you're already down 3, that's not great odds. But Morgan has been pushing for Lauren to go up on the block. And she's telling Vince, Lauren wouldn't be leaving, right? We're not putting her up because we want her to go. This would just be to break her never nominated streak. We knock her down a peg or 2. We make sure that she's not going to be able to have that on her resume, that she made it through the whole season without being nominated. So Vince has been very back and forth on this decision. Every time he talks to either Morgan or Lauren, he changes his mind, right? But when we left off yesterday, Vince had given in to Morgan and said, all right, we can move forward with the plan for Morgan to use the veto and for Lauren to go up as the replacement. And he was telling Morgan, yeah, it's going to wreck my game, but I want you in my life forever. I choose you over her every time. I always choose you. I'm going to be calling you at midnight, emotional outside of here. I'll probably drive to your house. Security. But yeah, he's telling Morgan, it's like this grand declaration of loyalty. He is picking Morgan over Lauren. Okay, so yesterday afternoon, Vince and Morgan are chatting, and Vince says, I do not want Lauren going home on my HOH. He's making this very clear. He's saying this over and over again. Even if she goes up, she cannot go home. And Morgan's like, yeah, I know. What? We're only going to do this if we can guarantee that we have the numbers to keep her. And just for reference, magic number this week is 2. They only need 2 votes to keep Lauren, and then Vince can break the tie. 2. You only need 2. But Morgan is pushing what a great move this will be. It's going to make Vince look like such a strong player. He's putting his close ally in the line of fire, knowing that she will be safe. And he's doing this, again, to knock her down a peg, break her never nominated streak. Yeah, it's a real strong move. I think, okay, for the record, I think this is a terrible move. I think this is a terrible move on Vince's part to put up his number one ally. Because, like, as much as Morgan thinks she's Vince's number one ally, we have heard Vince admit in the diary room that he truly wants to go to the end with Lauren. He thinks that he can beat her, and he's not so sure that he could beat Morgan in the end. So, yeah. Vince says, I know that you're not going to burn me with these votes. I know that you're not just going to let Lauren go and then tell me, oh, it was out of my hands. There's nothing I could do about it. And Morgan's like, no. I would never do that to you. I don't want to risk you going home, because if Lauren goes home and then you follow after her, this whole thing will be worth nothing. You being here is best for my game. Morgan legit wants to go to the end with Vince. Oh, all right. Anyway, a little later, Keanu and Vince are chatting in the HOH room, and Keanu is encouraging Vince to put Lauren on the block. He has been pushing this, not as much as Morgan, because Morgan's on another level, but Keanu has been pushing very hard over the last few days as well. And he's telling Vince, do not play emotionally. I know, like, you got some sort of emotional connection with Lauren. I think it was this morning even. He was talking about Lauren's, like, succubus powers or something. Boy, what? But he tells Vince, you don't need to keep Lauren around for insulation. You already have 2 shields. He's talking about himself, of course. And then I don't know if the second shield he's referring to is Morgan or Kelly. I guess he means Morgan, right? But he's telling Vince, if you get rid of Lauren, you're basically going to be guaranteed Final 4. I don't necessarily understand Keanu's logic with that, with like why that would guarantee him Final 4. I guess he means because Lauren's a strong competitor. So yeah, I guess he's saying like all the other strong competitors left are going to be on your side. So like you're going to get to the end. I don't know. I don't freaking know. But Keanu is telling Vince also, you're going to need Lauren's jury vote. And she can't vote for you to win if she's still in the house. So you're going to have to get rid of her, and then you will have that vote. And he's telling Vince, don't play for second place. He's doing all of his motivational speaking for Vince. So Vince lets Keanu know that Morgan is indeed leaning towards using the veto, and the plan would be for Lauren to go up. So this is like officially out there now. Before, this was just like a conversation between Morgan and Vince, like talking about actually going through with it. But now it's getting out there. It's getting out there into the house that this is actually possibly going to happen. So Keanu wants to know, what would you do if it's me versus Lauren on the block and there's a tie? Well, are you going to break the tie in my favor? And Vince says, like, as of right now, yes. No freaking way. But he's like, yeah, I would keep you, but I don't want to be put in that situation. That'd be terrible. I'd feel so bad about it. And Keanu's like, okay, but like there is a good chance that that scenario could play out unless Morgan uses the veto on me instead of on Ava. Smooth. But at one point in the conversation, Vince also asks Keanu, who is in the best position to win this game right now, in your opinion? And Keanu says, Morgan. Ooh. So I feel like him saying this is not going to make Vince want to go through with this move of putting Lauren up on the block because he's already paranoid that if he does that, Morgan is going to get credit for running his HOH, controlling his HOH. I'm like, I would agree. um, so the fact that Keanu is already saying he thinks that Morgan has the best chance to win, I don't think Vince is going to feel good about that. He does not want Morgan getting the credit for his HOH week. So, in other news, Ava, Kelly, and Ashley were chatting outside yesterday, and Ava is still hemming and hawing about Rachel. This girl is really hung up on the whole like I was dragged by Rachel. She dragged me by my arm. That's so messed up. And then like she had to go, blah blah blah. And now she's also mentioning like I'm relying on America's favorite, and that bitch ass Rachel took it away from me. Oh, okay. And like I just need to let you know, this is not the first time that she's complained about this. She seemed to think that she had a really good shot at winning America's favorite, and I think early on she did. But like now she feels like Rachel's going to win it instead of her. I would say I think Ava had a chance at top 3 before, but now she's like fully mask off now that Rachel's gone. And she seems to think that Rachel has stolen her shot at winning. And like we're seeing kind of a different Ava now, but it's a lot. So moving on, Vince and Morgan have another check-in. And Vince is getting really nervous that Lauren will be evicted if he puts her up on the block. So Vince is asking, what if Kelly votes Lauren out over Keanu? And Morgan's like, what? I don't see that happening. I do not see Kelly keeping Keanu over Lauren. And Vince is like, I don't know. I'm not so sure about that because Kelly seems to think that Keanu is going to bring her to the final 2. So, like, why would she vote him out? And Morgan's like, all right, if I have to do this, if you really need me to do this, I will vote for Lauren to stay this week. Okay, wait. So there's something that I feel like may have gotten lost in the shuffle here a little bit, something we need to highlight. This whole plan that Morgan has been pushing for Lauren to go up on the block and like she's not going to be the one leaving, she's going to stay. Part of that plan was that Morgan would be voting for Lauren to go. I think I touched on this briefly yesterday, but there was so much going on. I think it may have gotten lost in the sauce. But Morgan was planning on voting out Lauren. Her and Ashley would vote out Lauren and like try to secure the jury vote of whoever, you know, would be staying or gain favor with them, whatever. And they would be voting for Lauren to go, and then they would just be relying on like Kelly and who else would be off the block? Kelly and who am I missing? I'm missing who's even in the house. They would be relying on 2 other people to keep Lauren, and then she would stay. So like how insane is it that Morgan's like, I guess I can vote to keep Lauren if that's what you really want. But she says if it means making this plan happen and Ava, yeah, okay. And making right, because Ava would be coming down with the veto. Thank you. I'm losing my mind. If it means making this plan happen and making you happy, then yes, I will do it. I will vote to keep Lauren if that makes you feel better. And she's saying, if I do have to vote out Kelly, I will explain it to her in my goodbye message and I will try to salvage her jury vote. Oh, wonderful. Thank you. So a little later, Morgan chats with Ashley. And Morgan is now saying that she would rather use the veto on Keanu instead of on Ava because she's worried that if Keanu goes, she will follow him out. She will be the next one out because she feels like Keanu is a huge shield for her. If she's up on the block against Keanu, she figures Keanu leaves, but she would be in danger next to anyone else. So Morgan says, I've been playing everyone else's game all season and I'm tired of it. I don't want to do it anymore. I want to make a move That is for me. Ashley is not feeling this plan because she says, if you take down Keanu, Vince is going to put me up. He's not going to put Lauren up because he knows that Keanu wants to vote out Lauren, excuse me. And Morgan's like, okay, but like that would show his choice. I feel like Morgan is not doing a good job with Ashley this week. She's a little too quick to just like potentially put Ashley in danger here. And I think Ashley's picking up on this for sure. But she's willing to maybe have Ashley go up on the block as long as Morgan can see like what Vince would decide to do. So Morgan says that would show Vince's choice, and it's not my decision to make, like who he would put up on the block after I use the veto. But she says last time I talked to him, he did say he was fine with putting Lauren up on the block. And Ashley's like, yeah, if you use the veto on Ava. But that's not what he's going to think if you use it on Keanu. So they're talking about how they would both be fine with Lauren leaving this week. Of course they would. But Ashley's bringing up again, Vince might put her up on the block instead of Lauren if Morgan saves Keanu. Like, that's a completely different situation if Keanu is the one coming off the block and not Ava. So Morgan's like, no, like Vinny knows we need Keanu in this house. And Ashley's like, okay, but if it was a tie, if it was Keanu versus Lauren and it's a tie, what is he going to do? And Morgan's like, well, again, that would be up to Vince. And it's going to show his cards. And also, he would send Keanu home. Oh, and she's like, I don't know what it is about that girl, meaning Lauren. She just doesn't get why Vince can't cut her loose. But Morgan tells Ashley, I'm not trying to just last one more week in here. I am trying to win, and I need Keanu to be a shield for me. I need him to stick around. So meanwhile, okay, so like, here's the thing. At this point, Vince has agreed to put Lauren up on the block, but it was with the condition that Ava would be the one coming off the block. Now Morgan is like, I want to take off Keanu, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, Vince is now breaking the news to Lauren in the HOH room that she will be going up on the block if the veto is used. Ah! But like, is this all going to be for naught? Is Morgan's change of heart going to change everything here? So Vince is explaining to Lauren that she will have the votes to stay in any scenario if she goes up on the block. And Lauren's like, if I go on the block, I'm going home. They will vote me out. Morgan wants me gone. I don't care what she's telling you. She wants me gone. Morgan absolutely wants Lauren out. So Vince is like, oh, you think that Morgan would lie to me about that? Because that would ruin my whole game, and she would be responsible for that. Vince never wants to take responsibility for his own stuff. But Lauren says, yeah, and she would be taking over your HOH. And we know, again, this is a huge fear of Vince's. He does not want Morgan getting credit for his HOH. So Vince says, well, if that happened, I wouldn't be friends with Morgan outside of this house. I wouldn't talk to her. Oh, no. And Lauren is asking, why is Morgan making you do this? It just doesn't make any sense why she would be like demanding that I go up on your HOH. Lauren says, I would never make you put Morgan up on your HOH. And Vince is like, well, if I don't do this, the whole house is going to be against me. Everyone's going to come after me. And Lauren's like, no. And like, also, if you put me on the block, everyone's going to lose respect for you. The other house guests, the jury, America. Yeah. So Vince says, well, Morgan's not going to trust me anymore if I don't put you up. And I already have 2 strikes against me. This would be strike number 3. And Lauren says, well, if Morgan wants to end my streak so badly of never being nominated, she can win HOH next week and put me up herself. Oh. So Vince, again, is telling Lauren, Morgan is only going to use the veto if she's sure that the votes are there to keep you. She does not want you to go. Lauren is not convinced. She does not feel comfortable leaving her game in Morgan and Ashley's hands. And Lauren is asking Vince, why? Why? Like, do you want to put me up on the block? And Vince is like, no, people don't want you to go. That's not what this is about. This is just about you touching the block. There's been like 41 whatever nominations and you haven't been up yet. Like, this is just about principle. Okay, if my number one was saying that to me, I would not talk to them anymore. Like, your number one should be rooting for you, right? They should not be saying like, you have to go on the block. It's principle. No. So Lauren says, if you do this, I'm gonna look stupid if I don't put you up in the future. And then she starts crying and she's like, and I never would have dreamed of doing that. I don't want to have to do that. And Vince is like, oh no, Lauren. He says, I don't want to upset you. I don't want to make an enemy of you. And I don't want you to come after me. That's the most important thing, right? He does not want Lauren to come after him over this. So he's asking Lauren, like, are you still going to come after me even if you stay? Even if you stay? And he says, I'm trying to make sure that both of us go as far in this game as possible. I mean, it just doesn't make sense, right? If that really is your intention, it doesn't make sense to put her up. His argument is if he breaks her never nominated streak, people will not be looking to put her up anymore because now her record has been tarnished, right? So Lauren, again, is crying and she says, Morgan is going to send me home. And Vin says, no, she's only one person. She doesn't have that power. And I'm still going to try to get her not to use this veto. And he says, I just hate that people are putting me in this position. The whining never stops. But Lauren tells Vince, this is your HOH. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to put me up because Morgan wants you to. Thank you. I hate when people try to use the excuse like, oh, I'm being put in this position. I don't know what to do. This is his HOH, right? He doesn't have to do shit. So Vince says, it feels like it's getting hijacked and I have no control over it. So this all goes on for a while. And Vince is telling Lauren, this is not set in stone yet. It's not for sure happening. And he still wants to try to convince Morgan not to use the veto. And he also wants to talk to everybody and make sure that if she does use the veto, that the votes will be there to keep Lauren this week. Meanwhile, things are getting really messy outside. Ashley is talking to Keanu, and I'm getting some flashbacks to Vince's last HOH when the judges were like, we got to stick together. Like, you can't be putting Rachel up on the block. Don't do it. Like, this alliance is going to blow up. And then, Morgan was putting in a ton of work with Vince to keep Rachel off the block. But then Rachel decided to spill info that she got from Vince to Keanu. Keanu told on Rachel to try and get her on the block. And it was like that whole thing. Vince was pissed at Rachel and then was considering putting her up again. I just remembered that was the same night as freaking Winegate. That feels like a million years ago. But I'm getting flashbacks here because Ashley is kind of falling into a very similar trap. She tells Keanu that she heard that Vince would not keep him if it's a tie between Keanu and Lauren. Uh-oh. And Keanu's like, well, he would lose my jury vote if he did that because he promised that he would keep me if it's a tie. Vince makes a lot of promises and he's not serious about a lot of them. But Ashley also spills that if Morgan uses the veto on Keanu, Vince is not putting Lauren up. He would put Ashley up. So, like, this whole Lauren going up plan is only going to work if Ava is the one coming off the block. Uh-oh. All right, put that in your back pocket for later. So then we have Morgan and Vince chatting again, of course. And Vince is telling Morgan all about his conversation with Lauren. And he's like, oh, Lauren was so mad. Like, I've never seen her that mad before. Like, it felt terrible. I mean, she should be mad. Her number one is talking about putting her up on the block. Like, what is that? But Vince says, no matter what I do, I'm going to lose allies. No matter what decision happens, my game is effed. Unless you don't use the veto. But, I don't know if that's in your best interest for your game. And he's telling Morgan, do what you got to do. But then Vince is asking, if Lauren's going to stay anyway, why are we doing all of this? It's a valid question, right? If the plan truly is to keep Lauren, why are they doing all this? it's all a big production. And he's like, why can't we just keep the nominations the same so that I don't have to make any more enemies? And Morgan's like, because I want to use the veto. She said, I want this veto and I want to use it for my game. I want to do something for me. So Vince is like, you want to use it? Why? Like, for what? So that you can buy more favor with Ava by saving her, even though that would put my game in a worse position. So they're getting into all this again. And Morgan says, one conversation with Lauren, and now you're full of doubt. Do you remember how happy we were after we decided that we were going to go through with this plan? We felt great. We were so excited for it. We felt great about it, whatever. And now you have one conversation with Lauren and you're back to wanting the nominations to stay the same. And she turned that around quick. But she says, if Lauren is telling you that she's not going to be your ally anymore if you put her up on the block, that's a threat. And Morgan would know. Because Morgan has been threatening Vince for a while now, saying, like, if you pick Lauren over me again, I'm done with you. I'm not working with you anymore. So Morgan is very familiar with this style of gameplay. But Morgan says, I think we should call Lauren on her bluff. I don't even believe that Lauren is going to stop working with you if you put her up on the block. And she's insisting again, Lauren will not be going home if she goes up. This is just to break her never nominated streak. So Vince is like, all right, fine. Use the veto on Ava. I'll put Lauren up. Can I have a hug? Oh my God. He says, I'm not fighting with you. I don't want to argue with you about this stuff. Like, I will deal with the repercussions of my decision and just hope that I survive 4 more evictions and make it to the end. And he also asks Morgan, are you going to sleep downstairs the rest of the week now that you're done taking over my HOH? He wants those nighttime cuddles. Oh my God. So they laugh about it, but like, I think there's a little bit of seriousness there. Like, is this all just because like you're trying to get me to do what you want me to do? He says the first 3 nights that you were sleeping up here were just to make sure that I did what you wanted me to do. And now you're done with me. And Morgan's like, all right, if it makes you feel better, I can sleep on the end of the bed like a dog. Everybody thinks that I'm just your dog that follows you around. And he's like, no, it's not like that at all. It's the opposite. I'm the dog and I'm following you around. So they go back and forth about who's following who around. This relationship is so toxic. I can't believe these people are for real. But okay, moving on. Vince starts checking in with some other people about their votes because again, he wants to make sure that Lauren is going to be safe if she goes up on the block. So he talks to Kelly, and Kelly lets him know if he puts Lauren up on the block, Kelly is going to win that blockbuster, and she will force Vince to break the tie between Lauren and Keanu. So that might, hurt his jury vote with Keanu. And she thought she was doing something big here. But in reality, she was basically just giving Vince the confirmation that she would in fact vote to keep Lauren this week. Also, Kelly was pushing for Ashley to go up. Not really a surprise there. Okay. So then Vince talks to Ashley. And Ashley spills some tea. She lets Vince know that earlier, Morgan was talking about using the veto on Keanu instead of on Ava. And Vince is like, whoa, what? She didn't tell me about that. Like, what's the deal? What is this? And Ashley's like, yeah, like crisis averted already. Like, I took care of it. I told her not to do that. Morgan has already changed her mind back. Okay. And Ashley is saying she would vote to keep Lauren this week. we'll see about that. We know that Ashley wants Lauren to go, and her and Morgan earlier in the week were saying, like, we're going to do whatever we have to do to make Vince think that we would keep Lauren. But Ashley was saying, like, after that, we could do whatever we want once it's locked in. So we'll see how true she stays to that. But then Vince is talking to Ava, and he asks her, would you lose all respect for me if I put Lauren on the block? It's a little late for that. Does anybody still have respect for him? I don't know. But she tells him multiple times, I would not make that move. I would not make that move if I were you. Lauren has done so much for you already. But she says, frankly, it's your decision. You know, you do. Oh, Bubby, it's okay. You do what you got to do. Sir, do you remember when Ava said that she would freak out on Vince if Lauren went up on the block? She's not really doing that here, but you know, she's all talk. She also seems pretty happy about the idea of the veto potentially being used on her. So I think maybe she wasn't thinking about that part of the whole thing, that like she would potentially be coming off the block. But anyway, Vince talks to Keanu again. And here's where things get sloppy. Vince, I keep mixing their names up. Keanu spills the information that Ashley shared with him earlier. Oh no. About Vince not putting Lauren up if Keanu's the one coming off the block. About Vince breaking a tie to keep Lauren over Keanu. Uh-oh. So Vince is pissed to hear this because he's like, why is Ashley sharing this stuff with Keanu? Also, like, why is Morgan sharing this stuff with other people? So he's pissed, and it's like, oh my God, is everything going to fall apart now? All that work, and what did it get me? All that work, and then it could fall apart because of these loose lips. So Lauren talks to Vince again, and she's playing hardball. She lets him know, if you put me up, you're going to lose me. I can't work with you anymore. And Vince is like, yeah, that's what I was worried about. And Lauren says, I say that because Morgan has been playing that way this whole time, and it's worked for her every time. Has it though? Because like Lauren has won the battle a few times. But she says Morgan is the one putting you in this position. And she says, I've thought about it a lot, and that's what it is. You're going to lose me if you put me up on the block. I would love to see Lauren actually stand her ground with this. It would be nice. It would be refreshing to see her stand up to Vince and actually like stick with it. I also have to point out here though, I have not seen one conversation between Lauren and Morgan where Lauren is like making a pitch for Morgan to not use the veto. Like, I don't think I saw Lauren ask Morgan once, please don't use the veto. Like, can we talk about it? She like made no attempt to talk to Morgan, the veto holder, about not using the veto, which is pretty bad gameplay on, in my opinion. But anyway, the night would not be complete without a marathon circular Vorgan conversation that goes into the next morning. So, of course, we had that. And Vince is now trying to convince Morgan, please do not use the veto. Don't use the veto, please, please, please. And he's, again, saying, if we're keeping Lauren anyway, why does she have to go up? Why are we doing all this? So they argue back and forth, and it's the same shit that we have heard a million times. And I'm really starting to wonder, is fighting like part of it for them? Like sexually? Because what is this? But it seemed like last night the pendulum was swinging back towards Morgan not using the veto and leaving the nominations the same. But there was not a definitive decision. There was, however, another HOH sleepover, sleeping head to toe in the HOH bed. This time, though, Vince was shirtless, and he was absolutely holding on to Morgan's legs. So do with that what you want. But today, there was some last minute scrambling this morning before the veto ceremony. Lauren trying to stay off the block. Morgan promising Vince that Lauren will not leave if she goes up there. So they had the veto ceremony, and Morgan did use the veto on Ava, and then Vince put Lauren up in her place. What is this season? Lauren is supposed to be Vince's true number one, and Morgan was able to convince him to put her up on the block. You cannot make this up. It's insane. But we have Lauren versus Kelly versus Keanu up on the block. I think this was a huge mistake on Vince's part. I do not think that he should have put Lauren up on the block. No freaking way. But anyway, after the ceremony, Vince and Lauren are chatting in the HOH room. And we didn't see this from the very beginning, but Vince is like, oh, thanks for forgiving me. Lauren, what was she mad at him for? Like 5 minutes, if even? But Lauren's like, yeah, I don't have my never nominated streak anymore. My number one put me up on the block. And you chose Morgan over me. You chose me for the wheel, for the maze competition. But like, that was only with the condition that I would pick Morgan after. But Vince is telling Lauren, don't worry. Like, I'm going to pick you for final two. I'm going to pick you over Morgan. Which, I mean, I think he is serious about, but like, what a freaking mess. So Vince is assuring Lauren, you're not going to go anywhere. You have the votes to stay. So they're talking about how they want Keanu to go this week. And I don't know how serious Vince is about this because he's been saying Kelly to Morgan all week. He's been saying he wants Kelly out. So I don't know if he's just saying Keanu right now because he knows that Lauren is close to Kelly and Lauren does not want Kelly to go. So it might just be that. You know how Vince is. He tells everybody what they want to hear. But Lauren lets Vince know, I could never turn on you. I don't have the capability to do that. Boo! She says she was just playing hardball before because it's worked for Morgan. So she was trying to see if it would work for her. So Lauren is also saying if she wins HOH, she would put up Morgan and Ashley. Not Vince? What are you even doing? Oh, it's so bad. But then Lauren is like, oh, I have a secret to share with you. You have to promise me you're not going to tell anyone. Don't tell Kelly. Don't tell Morgan. Don't tell Keanu. Like, don't tell anybody. So Lauren shares that Kelly told her that Keanu said if Lauren went up on the block, he would throw the blockbuster competition to Kelly so that Kelly would be safe. Does she actually believe this, though? I know Keanu's done a lot of stupid things, but I don't think at this point he'd be throwing a blockbuster to keep Kelly safe. Keanu is done with Kelly at this point. He knows that Kelly has spread information about him to other people. He cannot trust her anymore. I do not see him sacrificing his game potentially for Kelly. And of course, the stipulation here would be like, Keanu thinks that he would have the votes to stay over Lauren, but like I just don't see him throwing the competition like that. Maybe I'm naive, but like I don't think so. So she's all excited about that. Vince is like, "Oh my god, how crazy would that be? Like that's so funny if like Keanu goes because of that." Meanwhile, Morgan is chatting with Ashley, and we have an answer to the burning question here. Is Morgan going to vote Lauren out? So Morgan tells Ashley, I'm not going to go back on what I promised Vince. I told him if he wants Lauren to stay, I will vote to keep her. But Morgan lets Ashley know she will be trying to get Vince to realize why Lauren needs to be the one to go this week. She is going to be campaigning night and day. More all-nighters coming our way. Great. And she's planning to tell Vince all of the different situations that show why Lauren is not a good ally for him. Okay. So we'll see what happens there. I just can't imagine her convincing Vince that Lauren should be the one to go this week. I mean, it was huge already for her to even get Lauren on the block, but for her to be able to convince Vince that Lauren should go would be absolutely insane. I can't even imagine. But anyway, yeah, Morgan, she goes up to the HOH room to join Vince and Lauren, who had been talking for quite a while now. I'm sure she wanted to break that up. And when she walks in there, it's freaking awkward. So Morgan gives Lauren a big old hug and she's like, I'm sorry. I know how hard it is to be up on the block. And this is Lauren's first time on the block. But she tells Lauren, I don't want you to go. She says, I want Kelly out of here. Which was crazy because Vince had already been telling Lauren for like the past half hour that Keanu is the target. He wants Keanu out of here. And now Morgan comes in and she's like, yeah, Kelly's going. We want Kelly out. That's the plan. So they talk about that a bit. And it seems like Vince is asking Lauren, like, would you be okay with like Kelly going first and then we take out Keanu? Dude is down bad. He also at one point was like, guys, this group right here in the HOH room, this is my ideal final three. I would love to go to the final three with both of you. Yeah, we know, Weasel. Of course he wants to go to the final three with Lauren and Morgan because he knows there's no universe, no way that they would pick each other. There's no way that would happen. They would each pick him to go to the final two. So of course, that is what he wants. But anyway, the eviction is in 3 days. It's actually a double eviction, baby. So either Lauren, Kelly, or Keanu will be leaving in the first eviction, and then who knows what's going to happen after that. We've got less than 2 weeks left in the season. Who would have guessed that we'd have this much excitement at this point in the game, if you want to call it excitement, I guess. I don't know. But I want to thank you all so much for being here. I want to give a special thanks to all of our super chatters today. Latoya L, thank you so much. Latoya says, I'm Team Keanu. It'd be nice if all of America is loving him too. Do y'all like him? So I'm like kind of conflicted with Keanu. I have some issues with the way that Keanu talks to women for sure. And also like his ego is a lot. However, I do feel like he has been very entertaining this season. And if he like makes some moves here for the rest of the season, taking some people out, I would be fine with him winning. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I am a fan of him on a personal level. I think he's a lot of fun, and I think deep down he's a good guy. I think he's a nice guy, but like he's definitely got some issues with women. That's what I'll say. But thank you again to Latoya. Wendy Will, thank you so much. Wendy says, Rachel, my favorite player this year. I would have to agree. She really just added so much to the season. It was awesome to see the growth from the last time that she was on. And I felt like she really made this season happen. I can't imagine what this season would have been like without her. I think it would have been a completely different show. It would have been an absolute disaster. There was already so much bad gameplay this season, but like if Rachel wasn't in there with everybody, I feel like the gameplay would have been even more atrocious. But thank you, Wendy. Zachary Longmore, thank you so much. Zachary says, thank you for the updates. Helps me get through 12-hour night shifts. Oh my God. If I get on Big Brother, you and your mom are getting a shout out. Lol. Thank you so much. We are rooting for you and hope that you make it onto the show. That would be so cool. I feel like we haven't had like one of our like real crew be on the show. So that would be really neat if somebody did end up on there. We're rooting for you. Mimi Robin, thank you so much. Mimi says, thank you, Maddie and Janet, for another year of BB info. Maddie, thanks for watching everything. Well, thank you for being here. We really could not do this without you guys. And we wouldn't still do this if it weren't for you guys. So thank you all for watching and tuning in every season and participating. We really enjoy watching the show with you guys. And Sean Davis, thank you so much. Sean says this soap opera needs to end soon. Vince is going to get jumped by Kelsey. I would love to see Vince leave in the double. I think that that would be fantastic. I was talking about this with my mom the other day. The idea of having to listen to Vince campaign for like a full week if he is on the block next week, I just can't do it. I've had enough. So like if they could just get rid of him in the double, just like clean break, get him out, it would be amazing. So that's what I'm hoping for in the double. My ideal would be like Lauren goes and then Vince follows her out. That'd be sick. Sean also says, by the way, Nicole and Victor are now expecting twins. I heard about that last night. Congrats to them. That's very exciting. Are they going to try and fool us with another special announcement on the show? I'm still upset about that. I'm still bitter. But no, in all seriousness, congratulations to them. That's very exciting. Oh, and Teresa Terry Sousa, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. All right, we're going to call it there. Thank you all so much for being here. We will be back tomorrow for some more. So, thank you for watching. And until next time, much love. Bye, everybody. Bye.